with you 3 experiments that give you a reason to change your beliefs about who you are. 3 experiments, scientific experiments that tell us beyond any doubt that our inner experience of belief changes our outer world. And I'll do them very quickly. These are 3 very fast experiments. The first experiment, number 1, was performed in Geneva, Switzerland, University of Geneva, July 25th, 1997. It was reported to over 3,400 journalists, educators, scientists, engineers in more than 40 countries. Very, very famous experiment. What did they do? They took a particle of light, a photon, 1 photon, and they wanted 2 identical photons. So they took 1 particle and cut it into 2. So now you have photon 1, photon 2. They put them into a special machine that could take the photons and separate them by 14 miles. 7 miles in one direction, 7 miles in the other direction. And once they were separate, they could begin the experiments. So here are the 2 photons. We're going to shoot them 14 miles apart. Here they go. Boom. Okay, now this particle is 14 miles from this particle. And what they found is this. Whatever they do to 1 particle here, the other particle acts like it is still connected even though it's 14 miles apart. The particle acts like it's still connected even though it's 14 miles apart. And the question that they're asking is why? If you take 2 particles and you separate them, why do they act like they are still connected? This is important for you and for me, because the phenomenon is called entanglement. Whoops. It's called entanglement. So that is the first experiment. The experiment, and all I'm asking that you remember from this experiment is simply this. Once particles are physically separated, even though they are no longer together physically, the energy is still connected. Does that make sense? Are you okay with that? Okay, here's why this is important. This is why this is a very important experiment. Because scientists tell us if we could go back in time to the beginning of our entire universe, there was a time when everything was connected. That the universe today is many light years in diameter. But if you could take every one of those little particles of matter in the entire universe and bring them all back together, there's a time when everything was connected. These arrows, this is from the Hubble Space Telescope. It's believed to be the very center of the universe, the time that scientists call the Big Bang, when everything began. If we could go back to that time, if we could go back to the Big Bang, what would the universe look like? A long, long time ago, far, far away. What would the universe look like? Here, we'll see that again. A long time ago, far away. What would the universe look like? Right, and someone is saying it looks like a little ball. Right here. Can you see this right here? If you could go a long time ago, scientists tell us that the universe, the entire universe, if you could bring all of the matter together and take all the empty space out, that the entire universe would be about the size of a single green pea, and everything is connected. Now, the scientists tell us that at this time everything was very compressed, and that the universe, the temperature was about 18 billion million degrees Fahrenheit. And I said, come on, scientists, how do you know that for sure? And they said, okay, we don't know that for sure, but it was hot. It was really, really hot. Okay? So we know a long time ago the universe was hot. And then it began to expand. It began to expand and continues to expand today. Here's the point. The point is, the experiment showed that once a particle is physically connected and then physically separated, the energy is still connected. That was the experiment. Scientists are now telling us the universe was once physically connected and is now separate, but energy is still connected. And that is the reason why you and me and everything is still connected. Does that make sense to you? Does that help to make sense? It makes sense to me. As a scientist, I need to understand this. The instant everything was connected, this is called the Big Bang singularity, is the term for this. So the question is, are we still connected? The answer is, you bet we are. We are very, very connected. That was the first experiment. See, that was an easy experiment, right? Let's do another one. Second experiment. This is performed by Russian scientist Vladimir Poponin. 1992. Vladimir Poponin took a glass tube. He removed all of the air from inside the tube, creating what we call a vacuum, implying that the tube is empty. But it's not empty. We know there is something in that tube, and you are now experts at what is in the tube, because what is in the tube are photons, little particles of light. Photons are in that tube. And the scientists measured them to see where the photons are. Are they sticking to the sides? Are they piled up on the bottom? Where are the photons? Here's what they found, the first part of this experiment. They found when they measured them that they were completely random. That the photons were everywhere, random. No surprise. Everything is good. Sorry. Okay, this is the first part of the experiment. Everybody is happy so far. Science is good so far. Now, look at what they did. They took some human DNA and they put human DNA into the photons. And they asked this question. This is a powerful question, my friends. They asked the question, what effect does human DNA have on the photons? But what they're really asking is, what effect does the stuff that your body is made of have on the stuff this world is made of? That is a powerful question. Does that make sense? Did that translate okay? They're asking, what effect does the stuff of the human body, what effect do we have on our physical world? In conventional science, there is nothing that allows for the effect. In conventional science, we were taught to believe that there is no effect. But that's not what these experiments show. Watch this. They put human DNA in with the photons, and the photons aligned themselves with the DNA. The photons were physically changed in their arrangement. The photons moved in the presence of the DNA. The stuff our world is made of changed in the presence of the stuff our bodies are made of. This is a powerful experiment. It's the first time it's been shown in the laboratory that your body is changing your world. Then they said, what happens if we take the DNA out? What happens to the photons? Well, what happened, they were not prepared for. Because when they took the photons out, when they took the DNA out, the photons acted like the DNA was still there. As if they were still connected. As if they were still connected. The question is why? There's nothing that explains this in traditional science, but in the new science, there is. This is called the DNA phantom effect. If you would like to Google this on your computer, you can research this for yourself. And all of these references are on my website, so you don't have to write the reference down. Experiment number 2, all that I'm showing is that DNA affects our physical world. The stuff that you're made of affects your physical world. One more quick experiment, and we're going to take a bathroom break. We started late. Okay. Experiment number 3. This is a paper released in 1993 by an organization called the Institute of Heart Math, H-E-A-R-T-M-A-T-H, Heart Math. We'll talk about them later today. But what they showed is this. Heart Math showed around every human heart there is a field of energy that we can measure. It looks like this. It's between 5 feet and 8 feet in diameter. How much in meters? How many meters is that? Do you know, 5 to 8 approximately?
Divide by 3.
How much?
Divide by 3.
Divide by 3. So 2.5 to 8, 3, 2, 4, 2.5 to 3, 3.5 meters. Okay, 2.5 to 3.5 meters approximately around every human heart. This field is there. And I asked the scientists the question. I said, if this field is there around every human heart, and it's so powerful, why would that field stop at only 2 to 3 meters? And they said, that is the limitation of our equipment. They said, in nature, the field around the human heart extends many, many miles from where your heart actually exists. So there are approximately 1,000 people in this room. If you are within 2 to 3 meters of another person, and you are, there are 1,000 hearts, but one field. One heart field. And that field is so real that we will measure it and use it after lunch. We can actually measure the field and we'll use it after lunch. And as you change the way that you feel in your heart, you will see the field in this room change on the screen. So that's what we'll do this afternoon. Okay, so they know this field is here. The question that they asked was, what effect does our heart have on the DNA of our bodies? You all have seen DNA as a double helix. And what scientists have found is that some emotions will relax the helix, some emotions will contract that helix, tighten it. When the DNA is relaxed, you are healthy. You have a strong immune system. Your DHEA levels are high. And when the DNA is tight, your immune system suffers. Your DHEA levels are low. So here's the experiment. They're asking the question, what happens if we change the way we feel in our hearts? What effect does it have on the DNA? And here's the experiment. What they found was in the presence of positive emotions, gratitude, appreciation, love, compassion, all the things that you would expect as positive emotions, look at the DNA, it relaxed in a positive, life-affirming way. In the presence of anger, jealousy, hate, rage, frustration, the DNA was tight like a little top. And all that the people did was have a feeling. They had a feeling and they changed the DNA in their body. This is the actual research report. Look at the words. It says, individuals trained in feelings of deep love and appreciation were able to intentionally change the shape of their DNA. And all they did was have a feeling, and by having the right feeling, the right belief in their heart, they changed the DNA in their body. They changed their immune system. They changed their hormone levels of DHEA. They changed their lives. The study goes on to say this. It says that human emotion produces effects which defy conventional laws of physics and their relationship to space and time. What does that mean? Very simply, it means that you and I can create a feeling in our bodies, and when we have that feeling, we are no longer limited by the laws of physics as we know those laws today. Maybe some laws, but not those laws. We are no longer limited by the laws of biology as we know those laws today. And all we do is create a feeling in our bodies. That's all we do. That's how powerful you are. Okay, this is where I wanted to be before we take our bathroom break. Here is the bottom line to these discoveries. Number one, it says that emotion changes the DNA in our bodies. You saw that, right? Emotion changed the DNA. The DNA changes the matter of the world. The DNA changes the photons, the stuff our world is made of. If you take out the middle section, what we're now saying is that emotion changes matter. And you saw the experiments that prove that to your mind. When the heart has feelings of gratitude and appreciation, it changes the DNA, and the DNA is changing the stuff of our world. And when the heart is having anger, hate, jealousy, rage, it changes the DNA in another way, and it affects our world. These are the experiments that show us what the ancient traditions always said. And that is that you have a power inside of your body that affects the world beyond your body. Okay, I wanted to do the technical things early in the day.